I'd like to call the regular city commission meeting of Tuesday, September 19th, 2023 to order and ask all of you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call. Mayor Pro Tem Jenks.
Present.
Commissioner Roselle.
Present.
Commissioner Oldsman and Commissioner Elder are excused. Mayor Paul present. Approval of the agenda with, we're going to remove item number 4 from tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I don't believe we had any communications. We'll make up with our proclamations, though. We have 4 proclamations this evening. I believe we have Jessica and Juliana here for the first one. Hopefully I get this pronounced right. This is whereas lissencephaly is a rare gene-like brain malformation causing the brain to have less or no ridges and folds, making it appear smooth. It is estimated that about 1 in 100 individuals are born with this condition. And whereas people living with this condition may also suffer from hypertonia, epilepsy, swallowing disorders, developmental delays, and more. And whereas addressing this complex medical needs early in life is imperative to helping families successfully care for their children at home. The need for more education, awareness, and support for families is desperately needed. The Lissencephaly Foundation, a nonprofit charitable organization, wants to help support these individuals through our continued efforts of empowering families and educating communities. Whereas it is appropriate that one day each year should be set apart from the rest of them to be known as Lissencephaly Awareness Day, this day shall be on September 30th. And whereas September 30th, residents of the city of Huntington Woods and surrounding communities will participate in a walk and roll the family of Huntington Woods resident Julia Falick to raise awareness. Whereas the city of Huntington Woods encourages all our residents to wear blue, purple, and gray for this Awareness Day on Saturday, September 30th, in honor of Juliana and all who are working to overcome their condition. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Robert Paul, do hereby proclaim September 30th, 2023, to be known in the city of Huntington Woods as Lissencephaly Awareness Day, and urge our citizens, patients, caregivers, medical professionals, and all agencies and organizations interested in supporting these families to unite on that day in observance of such exercises. Proclaimed at the regular city commission of September 19th, 2023, and signed by me, and I have a copy of this proclamation for you. Thank you. Like that in
road for us. We've never heard of it before she was diagnosed with it, and we do everything that we can do to get her into everything that we can. So we're happy to finally be getting out of COVID mode, and we're going to do a fun little walk from our house to City Hall on the 30th of September. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Second proclamation is recognizing September 15th, 2023 to October 15th, 2023 as National Hispanic Heritage Month. Whereas each year the United States observes National Hispanic Heritage Month by celebrating the culture, heritage, and countless contributions of those whose ancestors were indigenous to North America, including Mexico, as well as those who came from Central America, South America, Spain, and the Caribbean. And whereas what began in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week under President Johnson was expanded by President Reagan in 1988 to cover a 30-day period starting on September 15th and ending October 15th. Whereas the date, September 15th, is significant because it is the anniversary of independence for the Latin American countries of Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Additionally, Mexico and Chile celebrate their Independence Days on September 16th and September 18th, respectively. Whereas we recognize and honor the many ways that Hispanics have enriched the fabric of our society, and we rededicate ourselves to address the lack of equal access to opportunity that many still face. And whereas the Hispanic population of the United States is now 62.1 million, constituting 18.7% of the total population. And whereas in Oakland County, the Hispanic population is now 61,000, constituting approximately 4.8% of our total population. And whereas in the state of Michigan and Oakland County, the Hispanic population represents a wide range of nationalities and backgrounds, all of whom make a positive contribution to educational, nonprofit, government, and business sectors which reflect the remarkable diversity of the American people. Whereas the state of Michigan Hispanic employees comprise 5% of our workforce, delivering services and providing leadership to all departments throughout the state. Whereas Hispanics continue their rich tradition of significant and diverse contributions to the cultural, educational, economic, social, and political vitality of the state of Michigan and Oakland County. Now, therefore, be it resolved, on this 19th day of September 2023, the City of Huntington Woods does hereby proclaim September 15th to October 15th as Hispanic Heritage Month and encourage all residents to celebrate our unique and vibrant history and recommit ourselves to a shared future of healthy, peaceful, safe, and sustainable communities for all. Proclaimed on the regular City Commission meeting of September 2023. Third, National Recovery Month, whereas according to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, in 2021, 16.5% of American, or 46.3 million people, 12 years or older, were classified as to have substance use disorder in the past year, including 29.5 million people who were classified as having alcohol use disorder and 24 million people who were classified as having a drug use disorder. And according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, over 105,000 overdose deaths occurred in the United States in 2022. Whereas substance abuse recovery is important for individual well-being and vitality, as well as for families, friends, communities, and businesses. Where I'm going to skip a few of the whereases here. Whereas substance use disorder recovery is a journey of of healing and transformation, enabling people to live in a community of their choice while striving to achieve their full potential. Whereas substance abuse disorder recovery is a journey of healing and transformation. It's the same exact sentence. Must be very important. Whereas substance use disorder recovery benefits individuals with substance abuse disorders by focusing on their abilities to live, work, learn, and fully participate in the contribution to society, and also enriches the community culture. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Oakland County Health Network Woods hereby recognizes September 2023 as National Recovery Month. OCHN and the City of Huntington Woods call upon our citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, faith-based organizations, and schools to recommit our state to increasing awareness and understanding of substance abuse and the need for appropriate and accessible services to promote recovery. Finally, National Suicide Prevention Month. Whereas September is known as National Suicide Prevention Month and is intended to help raise awareness surrounding suicide prevention resources available in the community. Whereas World Suicide Prevention Day is observed each day on September 10th. And whereas suicidal thoughts can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, race, orientation, income level, religion, or background. And whereas, according to the CDC, each year, more than 48,000 people die by suicide. And whereas suicide is the second leading cause of death for people 10 to 34 years of age, the fourth leading cause amongst people 35 to 54 years of age, and the eighth leading cause among people 55 to 64 years of age. Whereas organizations like the National Alliance on Mental Illness and National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 988, work to help individuals in crisis and provide resources to shed light on this highly stigmatic topic. Whereas every member of our community should understand that throughout life's struggles, we all need the occasional reminder that we are all silently fighting our own battles. And whereas Oakland County Health Network is committed to being a zero suicide organization and cultivate a network of providers who are engaged in the zero suicide philosophy. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Oakland County Health Network and the City of Huntington Woods hereby recognizes September 2023 as National Suicide Prevention Month. We call upon our citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, faith-based organizations, and schools to recommit our state to increasing awareness and understanding for suicide prevention and the need for appropriate and accessible services to assist individuals in crisis. Thank you. Do we have any elected officials here this evening? So now is an opportunity for public participation. This is time for an item that is not on the agenda.
Good evening. My name is Ron Staywes. I live at 26332 York Street in Huntington Woods. I've been a resident at that location since 1989. I came to the last month's commission meeting to bring to the commission's attention a rodent issue that is affecting multiple residents on York Street between Concord and Salem. I would like to thank the mayor, the commissioners, Mr. Wilson and Hank Berry for the efforts that have taken place to date to deal with this issue. I understand that baiting began the 5th of September, will continue for 30 days, and that the Payne Clinic trash containers have been replaced with new ones. I also understand that there's been some discussion of a dumpster to replace the multiple trash containers that that clinic now uses. But I still have an issue with the trash containers, which are still a food source for the rodents. I don't believe all the trash containers are new. I went and took a look, and 2 of the large containers look to be the same old containers. They have holes chewed in them, which still give access to the rodents, which have been seen scavenging at them. I don't believe just providing another type of container, a dumpster, will solve the problem. Dumpsters still have plastic lids that can be chewed through and holes placed in them, and many times they're not completely closed. This will give access to even larger food supply of everything placed in it. So it'll be one container that has more things in it, and the things that will be in it will be in plastic bags. And according to one of our code issues is that they say plastic bags are not wrap-proof and shall not be used for overnight outside storage except when placed at curbside for the weekly trash pickup. Well, if you have a dumpster, that's what's going to be in the dumpster are these plastic bags, which are not wrap-proof. So the problem wouldn't be solved with a dumpster. I know that conversation, they said, is happening. I don't know where it stands. My opinion is at least the individual containers are more easily replaced if they are damaged. But the location of these containers is still a problem. The location of these containers are at the property line, at the wall between our backyard and the building. Other businesses next door to this business seem to be able to keep the containers next to their buildings. And one of the office buildings doesn't have any containers except they bring it out on trash day, just like all the residents do. Getting the trash containers moved from the wall along the backyard to a location along the building would improve the situation greatly. It would make the tenants of the building more aware of how they are maintaining their trash. Again, I want to thank you all for everything that has been done to date, and I'm looking forward to the continued efforts to resolve this issue. I have a copy of this. Is that something that is kept for record, or you don't need that?
You can leave it with the clerk, just so she can reference your comments in the minutes. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Jennifer Margraf, and I'm a resident at 899 Medina Drive in Rochester Hills, and let me explain why I'm here. I'm the Chief Program Director for the Autism Society of Greater Detroit, and I'd like to introduce our organization to Huntington Woods. About 8 years ago, a handful of small Michigan chapters of the national organization known as the Autism Society of America closed their doors. The national organization went through a restructuring and is moving toward a model with only a single Autism Society affiliate in each state, and we are the new affiliate for the state of Michigan. We're mainly a volunteer-led 501c3 not-for-profit organization, and we currently service Oakland, Macomb, Wayne, St. Clair, and Washtenaw counties. And with the support of our national organization, our plan is to actually cover the entire state in the next 5 to 8 years. Our main purpose is to be the connection between community service organization, state services, and those affiliated with autism spectrum disorder. And we do offer a 24/7 information referral line and resources on our website. As we help the community find and connect with their local and state resources, sometimes we've actually been able to identify gaps that are needed in services, and in these cases, we will write grants within the community and find partners to help with those supports. This year, the Autism Society of America became a proud partner with the Aging and Disability Vaccination Collaborative, which is a nationwide initiative to increase access and uptake of COVID, flu, and other routine vaccinations with a focus on the aging and disability communities, including our autism populations. The Autism Society of Greater Detroit joins the ASA in this effort by addressing the needs in our own community by offering accessible vaccine clinics and related training and education. Currently, we're seeking healthcare and community partners who are interested in increasing vaccination rates and improving the vaccine experience. Partners will receive training and support from the Autism Society, and the Autism Society's accessible vaccine clinics are absolutely free to those receiving the vaccines, and they are inclusive. We reduce barriers to vaccine uptake in the autistic population, providing tips on communicating with autism, disabled and aging population, sharing effective strategies to reduce pain and anxieties for those families during the vaccination visit, and disseminating support such as visual schedules, communication boards, and social stories during vaccine appointments. Providing practical tips to improve the vaccine confidence by employing strategies to reduce stress, and distributing, in addition to the free vaccine, free accessible vaccine kits that include stress balls, fidget spinners, sound reducing headphones, and these cool little, literally cool, blockers that are ice that block the pain from the injection itself. These accessible vaccine clinics are funded by a grant from USA Aging and the Department of Health and Human Services. Part of the grant project is also to forge meaningful ongoing partnerships which support the implementation of the project goals during the grant period and beyond. For additional information, please visit our website, autismsocietygreaterdetroit.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any contact information you can leave?
Absolutely.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Thank you.
My name is Jessica Downey. I live at 13160 Kingston. And no surprise here, I'm here to talk about Vale Jones Park. The packet of information I handed each of you is a data analysis based on 88 police reports for Vale Jones Park for the last 15 years. All reports were legally obtained through the Freedom of Information Act. In the manager's memo from August 31st regarding criminal behavior at Vale Jones Park, it is stated that the most frequent complaint was juvenile to the tune of 22 reports. It further went on to state that unruly kids would be a better classification of these types of calls. The data I have in hand shows 20 calls under the classification of juvenile. However, when you read the actual verbiage of the reports, some mention multiple juveniles per report or even multiple offenses per report. The data shows that there have been, at absolute minimum, 59 criminal offenses committed by juveniles, 57 acts of trespassing, and 2 acts of obstructing evading police. The memo further states that other concerning complaints would be for suspicious circumstances or person and trespass, and that neither occur with the frequency to be considered a criminal issue. However, the data shows 102 criminal offenses in just these 2 categories alone, with 99 criminal trespass offenses and 3 criminal suspicious circumstance and person offenses, respectively. Despite information in the memo and community input to the contrary from the special commission meeting on September 5th, there is not a single report, not one single report, for the bus stop on 11 Mile, the 11 Mile and Coolidge intersection, or the 11 Mile roadway in general. All 88 reports used for this analysis are strictly from within the confines of Vale Jones Park. It should also be pointed out that not every instance of criminal activity is reported, and that things transpire within the park weekly that not only break the law, but consistently violate city ordinances. In fact, in addition to the 110 recorded criminal offenses for Vale Jones Park, there are 120, and counting, recorded Huntington Woods city ordinance violations as well. Unfortunately, because of the inaccurate information shared in the last meeting, the true amount of criminal activity has been downplayed, and the citizens of Huntington Woods have been misled. Community members who spoke at the special commission meeting further perpetuated these inaccuracies by claiming that no criminal activity has happened at Vale Jones Park in the last 3 years, or that if there had been any criminal activity, it must have happened at the bus stop. Neither of these claims are supported by data or fact. What the data does support, however, is that over 110 criminal offenses have occurred within the confines of Vale Jones Park. In fact, Vale Jones has more criminal activity than all other city parks combined. While obviously less serious than felonies, all misdemeanor offenses in the state of Michigan are considered criminal. All misdemeanor offenses in the state of Michigan are considered criminal. And all criminal offenses can result in fines, jail time, or both. Nonviolent crime is still crime. Regardless if a suspect is issued a warning or ticketed for the offense, the act itself is a criminal act, whether it be trespassing, malicious destruction of property, larceny, obstructing the police, or disturbing the peace. So perhaps a better term for those unruly kids mentioned before would be criminals. It would be foolish of me to make a claim or public statement without the proof to back it up. That report is your proof. To my knowledge, I am still the only person who actually has full police reports in hand, has reviewed each and every one of them in depth, and has cross-referenced and analyzed the data. Last week, I met with our police chief and the head of Parks and Rec to go over the facts and figures of this analysis. When I started this process to get some resolution to the unintended consequences of Vale Jones Park 10 years ago, I never imagined this is where I'd be standing today. My character has been questioned, my motives have been challenged, and I've been scrutinized by members of our community for simply wanting my private property respected and for my children to feel safe and comfortable in their own backyard. I've been told to move, leave the neighborhood, and to get over the concerns I have about a public park infringing on my private property. So much for that inclusiveness we are all seeking, right? And the kicker is, this has been done mostly by people who don't live near, visit, or use the park in any capacity. I guess it's easy to criticize others when the problem isn't in your own backyard. I know it's uncomfortable when the illusion of this idyllic neighborhood is challenged, and it's easier to believe the pleasant falsehood than the unpleasant truth. But I'm of the mindset that you can't correct a problem if you don't acknowledge it exists. It's time to acknowledge a real problem exists at Vale Jones Park and stop these feeble attempts to pretend it doesn't.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Hello, I'm Joanne Leiter, back again. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I've been living in Huntington Woods for 33 years now, 26308 Dundee. This is the 6th meeting I've attended asking questions about the Anti-Racism Advisory Committee and the DEI report they admitted they sourced to implement race-biased policy and programming. When Jeff and I attended our first meeting way back in June, it was us completely alone in this empty room with 3 committee members. We expected a kind, confident, inclusive committee eager to share information and clear up our confusion, and we have faced much the opposite ever since. So this is the DEI report, which has gained unquestioning faith and belief in from the 50-plus standing room only crowd that appeared on August 15th to support the committee and speak on its behalf. So I will read firsthand statements from Huntington Woods residents directly from this report, word for word, on what it's like to live here for many people. There are 17 statements, but for time, I'm only going to read 5 because they're more of the same. Number 1, don't dare be a conservative in this city. It's very dangerous. Number 2, there is a huge negative bias towards people with conservative views and values. I don't feel comfortable expressing my opinion for fear of attack, verbal or otherwise. Number 3, this certainly has become a city I don't feel comfortable in due to my conservative views and values. I have found a very small group of like-minded friends, but we all fear expressing our opinions in this city. Number 4, the policies and practices of this city focus solely on leftist agenda and are anything but inclusive. It is very oppressive to have conservative values in this city. Number 5, nothing this city does supports diversity of thought. Think like the woke leftist mob or get out. So I'll skip the others that add up to 17 and move on because it's all more of the same. As contrast, the complaints on page 40 of this DEI report, which represent racist acts in Huntington Woods, are entirely secondhand. My sister said this, my friend said this, a neighbor heard this, someone I know this. So how are these secondhand statements acted on while the firsthand experiences are completely ignored? One guy on August 15th attempted to discredit 31 years of Harvard and University of Minnesota research on the failure of DEI programs, dismissing it because, quote, right-wingers defund the programs and white people don't believe in systemic racism, unquote. Notice he presented zero evidence explaining the continued failure of thousands of fully funded DEI programs that have, nor did he name a single DEI program that has managed to improve DEI metrics, which, by the way, can be measured. And let's just say he's correct about that non-believing whites sabotage these programs. How are the Anti-Racism Advisory Committee's programs different than the 823 failures in this study? Because we all know that doing the same thing and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. Since you were here, you saw that the loudest cheers and applause went to Mrs. Lisi and her daughter, who falsely accused me and called me names. And I did ask them if they were talking about me specifically, and they said yes. So here's my response to that. My people came to America from a faraway country in the 1800s, couldn't speak English, had no education, so we were given the low-paying, hard labor jobs. We were called a name to describe us as a group, a name that is still used today, a name that is rooted in the word dirty to describe our dark, oily skin, and that word is still prominent today. We were labeled primitive and uncivilized, yet my grandparents still came here in the 1920s with my parents in tow to give them a better life than the homeland offered, which was then given to me and I passed on to my children. As a kid, I was teased for my naturally kinky hair, my big nose, my full lips, which were not in style in the 60s, my hairy arms, all of these features of my people who still live in the old country, who we visited in 2019, my father's first cousins and their children and grandchildren. My family, with whom I share 96% of my DNA pure, and I have a full report to prove it. So it appears Mrs. Lisi accused what she would call a brown person of attacking brown people. And Mrs. Lisi's daughter called a brown person ignorant, which constitutes racism according to them and their DEI report. I'm not telling you this to make myself a victim. I'm telling you because children say cruel things and adults say stupid things, and this does not always prove that they are racist. Sometimes people speak before they think, like calling someone ignorant when they are clearly not. Like I told Katie, who leads the committee, I asked her, "How do you know I'm Caucasian?" And she looked me in the face and said, "I don't know." And I said, exactly, because there's all different shades of brown, and there is nothing important you can tell about a person based on the color of their skin. I'm not a racist, I'm not a phobe, I'm not ignorant, and I am not hateful, and nothing anyone says about me will change that. This committee needs to be held to a reasonable level of expertise. At the September meeting, they were lamenting that no real estate agents would speak to them on the record. Do you know why that is? Because the agents have heard about the threats of investigations and accusations against them. They, like the 17 people that I represent that are afraid to be here, they are terrified of this committee and their supporters, and now they're really scared after the display on August 15th. This DEI report is unprofessional in that it violates all ethic codes and all standards set by the public opinion industry. DEI programs are ineffective and cause white people to resent and non-white people to become hypersensitive to offense. And the committee is aiming these racially based programs directly at our children and even fruit camp counselors. They will only do harm. Blind faith in anything and anyone is irrational. This committee formed before any of them lived in Huntington Woods long enough to have an adequate understanding of what life is like here. The committee instantly went to the implementation phase of unproven race-based programming before exploring whether or not they are needed or actually work. Katie asked me if I had a doctorate because I scrutinized this DEI report, and I told her, and I'll tell you, you don't need a doctorate to look at this report. You need a little focus and some common sense to see the flaws. In their zeal to implement, the committee have skipped essential steps in the process. For the 6th time, I ask you, our elected officials, to hold your advisors accountable for the advising they do before allowing them to socially engineer our city, which always has and always will result in disaster and harm. If they think they have the answers, make them prove it first. Where is the creativity? Where is the innovation? Where is the humility to listen to dissent without calling on Facebook crowds to shout down anyone who doesn't voice unwavering and unquestioning belief in what they intend to do? Please assure they go through appropriate steps before approving this committee's program. And I thank you all so much for allowing me the extra time to speak. I really do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, public participation is closed. And we'll move on to the regular items of business. I'm going to start with a library presentation.
Presentation is kind of a big word. Good evening. My name is Deb Hemme, and I am the director of the Huntington Woods Public Library. I wanted to start by highlighting just a few of the bigger programs that we've had in the last month or so. And coming up, we now have monthly teen programs because we now have a teen librarian. Teens can sign up for text message reminders using the Remind app. That's what the schools use. Our code is at HWLIB. Last Saturday, we had an exotic animal show with more than 50 kids and their parents in attendance. The Saturday after Labor Day, we had a library card sign up. September is library card sign up month. And we had approximately 100 people, close to 100 people show up, and we signed up 27 new library cards. So it was a real fun afternoon. Coming up in the first week of October, we have a number of items, but we have a talk about Ukraine led by a former NATO representative, so that should be really interesting. On Friday, October 13th, after the library closes, we'll have our first ever Freedom to Read Festival. This is in honor of Banned Books Week, which is the first week in October, and it's a celebration of the variety of books and movies, other items that are available in our library. These materials speak to readers of all ages, abilities, races, cultures, gender identities, gender preferences, and any other demographic you can think of. We want everyone in Huntington Woods and Pleasant Ridge, the two communities that we serve, to be able to see themselves reflected in our library collection. So that's Friday, October 13th, and the next day, on Saturday, October 14th, we have a local author fair with so far 14 or 15 authors signed up to have their books and be able to talk about them and sign copies and sell copies. I want to do a quick show and tell. You may know, I think I've probably already mentioned some of these items, but you may not have seen them in person. I think that is a little bit large, isn't that? There, so you can see the whole sunflower. Okay, so we have brightened up our children's area. The interior of the atrium, which is the window area, it's now decorated all under the windows with colorful sunflowers. And if you want to go to the next slide, the entrance to the atrium. Nope, one more before that. Yep. The entrance to the atrium now looks like you are entering into a fairy tale castle. The muralist for both designs was Mary Lou Stropoli from Farmington Hills. Next, you might already know about our Pleasant Ridge book drop. It's been there about a month. And that fine gentleman there is Ed Quisenberry. Ed donated his time and built that book drop. It is amazing. We pick it up, we empty it twice a week. We might go down to once a week, but there are items in it every time we go there. So we're really happy to have it. It's right inside the Pleasant Ridge Community Center. I think it's available 24/7. It's like in a little vestibule area. Anyway, just really a great thing. The small amount for supplies was covered by the Friends of the Library. In honor of Banned Books Week, the Friends of the Library came up with the idea, honestly copying Royal Oak from last year, but we came up with the idea of having our own t-shirt to commemorate Banned Books Week. And then the Friends backed up their idea with some funding. Then Huntington Woods resident and Library Advisory Board member Bridget McKinley tapped one of her coworkers and designed a Banned Books t-shirt for us. So this is the design we chose. We had about 6 or 8 to choose from. This is the design we chose. It's going to be in black and also in blue. The t-shirts will sell for $10 a piece, and we will begin taking prepaid orders on Monday, this coming Monday, and the shirts will be in person in time for Banned Books Week. And that's all I have.
Thanks, Deb.
Thank you.
It's always good to get some updates on what's going on at the library. Okay, item number 2 is a matter of considering and receiving and filing the 2023 Phaser Rating Report.
So moved. Support.
Comments?
Thank you, Mayor Paul. I just wanted to share this with the city commission for your information. I'm not sure if you usually get this report or go over it, or if you've done this in years past, but, and I may find it interesting because I do this for a living, maybe find it dull, but I thought this was an interesting map to show you. This map gets updated every year, and what Nowak and Frous has done is give you this map, where they've broken it down from all the roads that have seen major repair and improvement from 1995 to 2023. All of those are marked in black. Roads that have not yet been worked on are marked in red, and there's corresponding PACER ratings. PACER is the pavement and surface, it's an acronym, something like that. It's a rating that we use to rate all of our streets. It's a 1 to 10 rating, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. So not surprisingly, the roads that are kind of marked, that aren't marked in black, that are in white, that haven't seen a repair, are generally rated lower. There's a lot of 2s and 3s and 4s, a couple of 1s in there. But you've seen, I think, you can see clearly on the map through the work that's been done, there's been some good connectivity. There's good blocks and good sections of the community that have been completely rebuilt and repaved. But there's also identifiable sections that we will be addressing in the coming years. I think from a quick talk with Nowak and Frous, I would expect in the next 2 years to see projects on both Newport and Meadowcrest, probably from Borgman all the way south down to Ludlow. There's some really poor ratings on those sections, which if you've been down there, I think you can attest to that. We also have some areas around Parkwood, kind of south of Lincoln and just west of Scotia that we'll be addressing in coming years. And then there's a kind of identifiable section over on the east side, which I know from talking to people that live over there, and they're correct. There's some roads over there. York needs some attention. Wareham, Concord, we'll be addressing.
Dundee.
That's last on the list. I told them.
I wish.
What's on Dundee? That's the last one we plow too, right, Mayor? But no,
I
it
don't want to
definitely.
get a conflict of interest.
That's right.
No, there's some roads over there, but that are going to be addressed too. But I think the other interesting thing about this is you can see of the lowest rated ones that we have in black. Most of them are 5 and above. There's a lot of 5, 6, 7s. I think the good part about this is as we knock out the rest of these streets, and that's going to be a period of 4 or 5 years to do that. And from watching this and living here, it's painstaking the work they've undertaken because there's a lot of surface repair. The edge drain repair is costly and it's time consuming, but the roads are being built right. Once that's done and we kind of finish swallowing that pig the next 4 or 5 years and everything's redone, it should be a 5 or above, and then we can really progress with maintenance paving after that, which is a lot cheaper, a lot faster, far less intrusive to the residents, and that will allow us to, I think we're pretty well on pace to get a solid street network throughout the community. Then that's something that we can maintain. Getting that edge drain in, which I know is not something that everybody can see, but that's going to be critical to maintaining the condition of these roads for 20, 30, 50 years, long after I'm gone from here. We'll benefit from that, and there'll be a lot more just mill and fill repaving and not the reconstruction. There'll still be some reconstruction, particularly if we do water or sewer main repairs, but not on the level you've seen in this kind of 30-year period we've been working through here. So I just wanted to include that for your reference. These are the numbers that we will use along with other information we have about water and sewer main repairs that are needed to put together a program for the 24 construction year. But I just wanted to share that with you so you have an update of where we're at. And You know, you can see it on, a picture's worth 1,000 words, a map's kind of worth 1,000,000 statistics, right? You can see it right in front of you, and that makes it great. So I just wanted to include that for your review and let you know what I thought about the map, and I think it's good. That's it.
Thank you. Any public comment?
About the parks, I have noticed that a lot of the city parks within the city, the flowers have been really upgraded and taken care of, so I just wanted to let you know I noticed that.
Thank you.
We got off to a little bit of a slow start on that project, but
It definitely
It's-
has made a
it's
definitely
going good
made a
now.
difference.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3 is a matter of consideration to approve the agreement for assessing services between Oakland County and the city of Huntington Woods. We have a motion.
So move. Second.
Pretty much the standard agreement.
Thank you, Mayor Paul. Yes, this is a 3-year agreement. It is effective retroactive to July 1 of this year. Oakland County is still continuing to provide assessing services for us. A little delay in getting this to you because they had gone through kind of a thorough review of all their contracts. This contract is frankly more thorough than the ones we had in the past. Mrs. Rosati did review it and found it to be agreeable. On the financial side, it just took some time to go through. Their charges on a per parcel basis. There's different prices for real or personal parcels. Most of ours are real property parcels here. But the prices for the next 2 years will be $43,488 and $45,210. I think those are very reasonable prices for the service we get from Oakland County, and we could not, if we try to do this on our own and recreate, I couldn't recreate that for 3 or 4 times the cost. So I think it's a good deal. We get a professional level of assessing services. We're happy with it. Ethan's happy with it, even more importantly. So I think our board review has been going well, and I think this is the way to go. And if you approve this, it'll be effective through June 30th of 2025 under these terms and rates.
Thank you. Any public comment? Comments or questions from the commission?
I think there's no way we could do this ourselves for this kind of money without a doubt in terms of software, hiring somebody with the appropriate state assessing accreditation. So it's a great deal, and generally they do very good work, so no issue with it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. For those of you that are wondering why we deleted item 4, which was a matter of approving the agreement for election services with Oakland County, it is because my esteemed colleague here is the director of elections for Oakland County, so he would have to abstain from voting on this item, which leaves us with 2 voting members, so that is why we are going to schedule a special meeting later in the month to take care of that item of business. City manager's report.
Thank you. I'll be brief. Just quickly address Ron's comments earlier about the rats. Yes, we've baited twice. It's been a good program. They've taken every bit of bait that we've put out so far, which is good. They're definitely there. They're taking the bait. This is good. We'll continue to bait for 30 days or until the problem's gone. We'll just keep working on it. So, but it's definitely working to date. We are working with Tringali to get a dumpster for that. bags, there's little dog waste bag depositories on there now, which will refill as needed. So, project, thanks to Eli for the community project that he did, and he got credit for that, so, that's great, I appreciate that. And just updating from the couple things we've been working on, we did have the kickoff meeting with MKSK for the Climate Action Plan. Myself, Mr. Berry attended that, along with 2 members from the Environmental Sustainability Advisory Committee. And MKSK is also going through our Parks Master Plan. We have upcoming meetings on that capital improvement plan that council approved to get that back to you, commission approved, to get that back to you before the end of the year in January, as that timetable was set forth. So thank you for that, and I'll work with commission to get a date for that special meeting to get that election services contract approved.
Are there any questions from the city commission for the city manager? All right. Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is passed. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.